So I was reading over these class action lawsuits and I saw a comment to one of my previous videos. And it still boggles my mind how economists could make any sorts of claims about what the fair market value was, or that the prices were inflated because of listing agents offering commissions to buyer's agents. Now, the comment was, my video was just jointed. True. My comment was, the courts are not going to review economic testimony because, and I know what they were saying, and they were right, and they said generally, so it may have been a lawyer. They're not going to go back and let someone overrule the economic testimony later. My point is that the economic testimony has to be thrown out because it's too prejudicial and it cannot be based on reality. Because the reality of the situation is that in America, the homes have sold in a system where there have been two realtors. And I'm going to get more into that, how I became a realtor because of these facts. But we don't have a process in America that gets the fair market value of these properties. What we have in America, what we've been doing is we see usually the property sells to the first 3, 4, or 5 people that make an offer. We don't have the 30-day price. We don't have an auction price. We have a list price and a little bit over in general, even though there was massive demand. That massive demand is not properly attended to by the system we have. What I've suggested in some videos is that a better way to do it would be to have taken all the offers for 7 to 10 days, let everyone know where the offers are, reserve one, say, you're our best offer, we're not going to mess with your terms, we like your terms, your price. These are the terms and price we want. We start at the lowest price, and we go up and see if anyone wants to beat it, and then we let the one that we like, the one we treated well and made sure they were comfortable and we're going to stick around, we give them a chance to beat this offer, or however we want to work on the last 2 or 3 offers. That would be a proper price discovery mechanism. We haven't had a proper price discovery mechanism. There's no economist that could say we have had. Therefore, we don't know what the fair market value of these properties were. But we can look in retrospect and say they must have been far too low 10 years ago, right? And if they had let demand drive price, we might have gotten to the prices we are at now a lot sooner. And a lot of people would have made a lot more money on the sale of their home. Now, what else is the problem? It's the lenders, it's the appraisals, it's the regulatory environment. Also, keeping the prices down over time. Many appraisers will tell you that they can't go 5-10% above fair market value, homes of similar value before. Even that's where the market is at that current time, because the buyers came out of the woodwork and there were multiple offers, right? So the lenders have been keeping the prices down, and the realtor process is not a fair market value process. What it is a realtor on both sides process. And I'm going to tell you, in reality, I believe in many, many circumstances, absent 2 realtors, the prices would have been a lot lower. Even though the prices were way under fair market value, in my opinion, they would have been lower without realtors. And it's my origin story in marketing terms, in movie terms, in how I became a realtor. I was a lawyer doing real estate work, commercial real estate, defending brokers in court. It wasn't all the work I did, but it was a lot of it, and advising people on purchase and sale of properties. And back then, you could get your hands on the forms. They weren't as closely guarded by the Realtor Association. They had form packages realtors could buy because it was before computers, and they'd share them with you. In fact, that was part of the marketing effort, I believe, right? Was to show you contracts. So anyway, I had my property for sale. I did the marketing. I had the open houses. I put it on Craigslist. Tons of people came through. I mean, tons. In fact, I had a realtor. They were doing the open house once. And I said, and she was going to represent my buyers. But I was talking to a bunch of people who said they wanted to make an offer on my property. I got them the paperwork. I talked to them. We had write the prices over the phone. The offers never showed up. Got a realtor. One of those, I've done previous videos of this. I'm not just making it up. They're on YouTube. One of the people paid far more for the property when I had a realtor than I would have sold them the property for that we had discussed on the phone. In fact, I wound up netting more even after it was probably 5.5%, maybe it was 5% real estate commissions by getting a realtor. Now, I'm not the only person who understands that. I also know people who are buyers don't necessarily feel comfortable. I've had people call me. I've worked with people representing as buyers. They want to work with the listing agent because they want to win out multiple offers, but they wanted to be protected. Buyers want professionals in the process. Buyers are happy that realtors were there to represent them. Buyers might not have made offers without realtors. Especially in general, when you're looking at the whole data set. So an economist cannot ever testify to the idea of what the price would have been absent to realtors. They don't have enough data. We don't have a system that was designed at fair market value. Nothing they could do in their model say, oh, this was fair market value. Well, how could you arrive at that if your data was part of this system? You don't have an outside system of significant size to arrive at fair market value. You've got this system, which was a 2-realtor system, giving stamps of approval and confidence to buyers and sellers. While I totally believe it was way below fair market value, it was still higher with agents than without, is my opinion, and no economist can say otherwise. Therefore, their testimony at trials should not be allowed. It's just more prejudicial than it is beneficial. I will talk to any realtor. I'll come on your video podcast. We can make sample things. I'll go on anything, and I will listen to everything that you say. And then I will ask you questions. And there's no way you're going to be able to tell me what the fair market value of this home is. There's no way you're going to be able to say, if prices hadn't been this, if realtors hadn't been there, the prices would have been this. You can't do it. We don't have the data points. It's exactly this. Well, it's not exactly. It's very similar. It's similar to when I see all those economists say that tax cuts don't pay for themselves. You can't prove that. It's based on assumptions. It's based on economic assumptions that people make. They make a baseline, then they do the calculations based on the assumptions they made, such as growth or 2% or whatever. But it's just assumptions. It's not reality. And you know what reality was that after Reagan's tax cuts, tax revenues went up. After Bush's, tax revenues went up. All over the world, tax revenues usually go up after tax cuts. Not always, but almost all the time. And finally, if you're an economist and you understand Keynes and what Keynes said about the yellow dresses, sometimes when you put the yellow dresses on sale, the market clears. He says sometimes you lower prices to make more money. So the whole concept of economics is that it's a system, and you can't take, I know econometrics is good, but you can't take realtors out of that system. When some buyers won't feel confident without buyers, they'll offer far less. They wouldn't even make offers on my property. There's no way you can know what the fair market value was in a system that didn't have realtors in it. You have a system with realtors in it, and therefore any of your testimony can only be about that system, not about fair market value. There's any way to assess damages is pure speculation. There's no basis in reality. You don't have the data points for it. You can make assumptions, but you don't have the reality. And therefore, economic testimony should not be allowed as a matter of law. Period. That's how it should go. My name's John McConnin. I challenge anybody to put in the comments. I will get on and talk to, like, I've done this off the cuff. If you've got a good challenge, I'll study it. We'll talk about it. And frankly, I don't have any data. I personally think lawyers should be selling. I don't think the system really needed realtors most of the time. I think realtors practice law without a license. I think we could have sold properties with just lawyers. I think properties should sell at auction. That's my model. I think I've got a book called The 5-Day Auction or The 7-Day Auction Method. I think modifying that for today's market is really the thing that most home sellers could do, but they're not going to, right? Because they recognize that when they're dealing with $1 million or $500,000 and they can make a mistake, it could cost them far more than the realtor commissions frequently. So, buyer's agents, those commissions might come down because I don't think buyers are going to pay 2.5%, 3%. So if the lawsuits go through and the whole model gets changed and sellers aren't allowed to offer compensation to buyer's agents' commissions will go down. That'll be full employment for lawyers. So I'm not arguing. If you're right, that's great. I don't really care. But the point is I, at my age, I have an aversion to to non-critical thinking that we're seeing throughout institutions in society. It's nuts to me to think that an economist could tell us what fair market value would be or what damages were in the absence of realtors. There's no data for it. It's nuts. It shouldn't be allowed. I hope the appellate courts understand that. I'm not trying to save the realtor associations. I hope they charge me way too much as far as I'm concerned. I hope the prices go down. But I have a problem with people making expert statements that can't be based on reality. It's just like saying that Ronald Reagan and George Bush's tax cuts didn't pay for themselves. There's no way you can say that when within, I think it was 18 months for Bush, Reagan cuts, it was 2 stages because he had 2 cuts, but after I think it was the second cut, revenues exploded. There's no way your model can say that wouldn't have happened if the tax cuts weren't there. You can't do it. It's fantasy. You can't say what fair market value would be without realtors because it was a realtor system. You can't say what tax cuts would have been without the tax cuts because they happened. It's a fantasy to say otherwise. Absolute fantasy. Regardless, your models are making assumptions. You're making assumptions about what buyers would pay if they didn't have a realtor. And I'm saying to you, many, many, many buyers made better offers because there was a listing agent and a buyer's agent there. Because in my house, I couldn't even get offers. And lots of people have that experience. All right, thanks. It was fun. John McConnin, real estate attorney and broker, amateur economist, econ major. I'd love to have this debate. I'd love it. We'd have fun. I'm not going to be upset if you disagree with me. Yeah, that's what opinions are. All right, thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.